Hello and welcome to Insiders, a podcast all about the world of television with me, Jimmy Mulville.
And me, Peter Fincham.
This is the podcast for people who love TV and want to know a bit more about what goes on behind the scenes in show business.
Indeed.
So what's been there's lots of scraps of interesting
lots of
news.
things happening. I don't know if you noticed this as an interview that Meghan Markle has given. I think I read about it in the Times.
Meghan Markle.
The Meghan Markle. Netflix's Meghan Markle, you could say.
Yes.
And we talked about
She's
this.
underpinning the viewing on Netflix, apparently.
Yeah, we talked about this a while ago, didn't we? Because they previously had her and Prince Harry previously had an output deal, and people talked about $100 million. We don't really know what
exclusive.
$100 million. Yeah, exclusive, all that kind of stuff. And then it moved to a first look deal.
So explain the difference for those people who might not.
The difference in a first look deal is that you have an obligation to offer all your ideas up to whoever you've signed the first look deal, but they have no obligation to commission them.
And you can take your stuff elsewhere then.
Then you can take it elsewhere. So Meghan...
But exclusivity is you can't take it anywhere else, you're locked in.
Yeah, but they guarantee you production.
Yeah.
They guarantee you production. Most of us, at our end of the business, would prefer a guarantee of production to a first look deal. I'm not sure that we'd sign a first look deal because we like to be free in the marketplace. But I see in this interview that Meghan has described the new deal as a sign of strength.
Yes. Okay.
And you might think, yes, but a sign of strength for who?
For whom?
For whom?
Yeah.
Sorry
to correct you there, Peter.
I've forgotten you were such a linguistic pedant.
Well, pernickety, not pedantic. I'd say I'm pernickety rather than pedantic, but let's discuss that.
No, let's not.
Okay.
Let's discuss Netflix and Meghan Markle.
Yes.
And on the face of it, it's a sign of strength for Netflix.
Yeah, she's full of shit, isn't she?
I didn't want to say that. She also said something, and I really don't want to get into this whole thing that
I do.
Some people get into Meghan bash. I've never met her. I'm sure she's a lovely person.
Let's not bash her. Let's just call her out when she's talking shit.
She also said another thing, which is a phrase I want to use in my everyday life.
Go on.
She said that 2025 had been a year of learns.
Learns?
Learns, yeah.
What the hell
Not
is a
learnings, a year of learns.
A year of learns?
Yes.
What's she talking about?
Well, she's saying during 2025 we've learnt things.
Yes.
So
why couldn't she say that?
Well, because she said it calls it a year of learns. But I kind of felt, well, yeah, we are getting towards 2025. I was going to say, Jimmy, what learns have you had?
Well, one of my learns is never to say the word learns. You know what?
You prefer the English language as it is, rather than.
But she does this, doesn't she?
Strangely mangling it.
It's her way of kind of changing the English language to be Meghanese. You know.
Yes, you're quite right.
You know, so
it could be a language, couldn't it?
You know, like when she was doing the kind of documentary, which ended up with the Oprah interview, and she was in her little simple house in Montecito, where literally every house costs about 50 million quid.
Yes.
And she said, I knew Harry was the guy for me when he shared my love for chicken rescuing. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, it's a first date thing, isn't it? I mean, you've got to find some things to talk about the first date.
That's true.
If you're on a first, to be fair,
Yeah.
And this is not strictly television conversation here. If you're on a first date and the person you're dating with says, "I love chickens,"
hang on,
do you know what I really love is rescuing them? You're going to say, "Oh, I quite agree,"
and then eating them.
or possibly while eating them, you could rescue them from the plate.
And I guess you do agree with any old shit you hear on a first date. I remember
The last thing we want to come across as is kind of cynical. I mean, you and I, not with each other, haven't been on a date for over 30 years. So what do we know, Jim?
Well,
what do we know?
I remember Karen saying to me, would you like some Earl Grey tea? I hated Earl Grey tea. And she put loads of milk. I hate Milky Up, but I loved it. I loved the Milky Up.
Did she say that she was an Everton supporter? I bet she did. Everton.
Oh, yeah.
Did she know they're in Liverpool?
She did agree with a lot more things back then than she does now. Anyway, listen, this is not Insiders, the marriage podcast. This is about TV.
I just think maybe we should come back to it nearer Christmas.
But God bless Meghan.
A year of learns. What have we learned in 2025?
Well, she certainly hasn't learnt the English language. But the truth is that I kind of admire her in a way because she has had so much adverse publicity and she just keeps going. And I do admire that in her. She's got chutzpah and she just fucking keeps going.
We've also I said before on this podcast, we're independent producers. As independent producers, you need a bit of what Meghan's got. In other words, you get bashed down, you get your ideas rejected, they don't get back to you about this, they didn't like that script that you thought was brilliant, and you just have to keep going and go in the next day and say, here's another idea.
You do need the requisite blend of resilience and self-delusion.
Yeah, and you could say you feed off it a bit. I pitched an idea yesterday to a commissioner from a well-known broadcaster. I don't think I should say who or what the idea is or whatever. And this commissioner really, really liked it.
Yeah.
And said, well, we want to talk about this more, and and blah blah blah. And
that's a no, by the way. That feels like a no to me.
If it was in America,
we
and they'd
really
said,
love this.
If it was in
idea.
America and they'd said awesome, it would definitely be a no.
This is fun. I hate that when people say this is fun. I literally feel like slitting my throat.
But you're more cynical than me. All I can say is, if you go in and make a pitch and somebody really responds, you're buzzing for the rest of the day.
Yeah,
you get off on it.
It's better than drugs.
I thought you were going to say it's better than sex.
What's that?
I mean, that clearly is a subset discussion we could perhaps have. We could possibly say,
I think we've had too much coffee this morning, you and me.
For dedicated listeners to the podcast, rather like one of those extra episodes,
yeah,
we will explore that. Is a successful pitch better than drugs or sex? I think it's a conversation
people could write in with their own views on that.
They could.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, have you heard that MTV is shutting down?
I know. There's a sign of the times, isn't it?
So because Paramount have sold to Skydance, is this part of the great cull that's coming from the new owners? Because when new owners buy an organisation, one of the ways they increase profit, of course, is to cut costs.
Yes.
So here's MTV. They're losing 5 of their music video channels. Which, I mean, I was never a huge, as they say, user of MTV.
Exactly. When did you last watch it?
But it was always, but I was always aware of it. And of course, it was a great breeding ground, wasn't it?
It was, and a lot of talent came through it. But it seems to me that it's been in exactly that state of kind of The Walking Dead, if you like, where we all assume it's there. We remember it from the 1980s when it was, sort of launched. And then eventually... It's a bit like, a celebrity or a personality where you haven't heard anything about them for a very long time.
You think they're dead.
And then you're watching the news and the newsreader slightly changes the tone of their voice and says such and such an actor who was famous and blah, blah, and you think there's only one story left to be told about this actor. And that's what's happened with MTV. It's certainly not only been music videos over the years. In fact, it's been, it's made great efforts to diversify away from that. Shows like Geordie Shore, their MTV shows, Dating Naked.
Oh, that classic, Dating Naked.
Yes.
I wonder what that's about.
It's about dating. That's all I know. And then there's talent, as you say. People like Kat Deely came through MTV.
Didn't Davina come? I think she did a turn on.
She must have done.
When she was very young.
So imagine Davina on MTV.
Yeah.
So it is the end of an era, but it's also a reflection of the fact that television channels matter less in our lives.
Yeah, but some things aren't dead. Some things are coming back, and I read that the Inbetweeners. Yes, or the creators of the Inbetweeners, Ian Morris and Damon Beasley, who created that fantastic show, have entered a deal with Banijay, the huge behemoth in the production sector. Banijay. Now, when you read these announcements, you think, oh, great, the Inbetweeners is coming back, but it's not, isn't it? It's a development deal.
This is not that dissimilar to Meghan Markle and the First Look deal, is it? It's not quite what it appears to be.
Yeah.
So it's a sign of strength that Banijay...
But what are the learns?
Banijay and the creators of the Inbetweeners, the learns are, if you announce it, it might happen.
Oh, okay.
But it's also very believable because... the guys who were in the Inbetweeners, they were always a bit older than their characters.
Well, it's a bit like Derry Girls. They actually weren't
probably well into their 20s when they were still at school. But now, what would they be in their late 30s?
They're in their early 40s.
Early 40s, okay.
They're going to call it the in-between. But what are they in between? Divorce and death.
Birth and death, I think, yes.
I mean,
exactly.
what? I mean,
no, to be fair, if they're in their early 40s, that's an in-between age. Every age is an in-between age.
Yes, but I'm saying is that I guess you can get away with it.
We're in an in-between age.
We're in between
the prime of our life and
the care home.
Exactly. We could be called in-betweeners.
But is it like, are we going to have episodes of the one where Jay gets a colonoscopy?
I think early 40s is a bit young.
Yeah. I wonder if they signed the cast up as well, or it's just a production company. Because that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
If I'm an agent of Simon Bird
Yeah.
and I read this and I think, oh, they haven't called me.
Yeah.
I'm in a very strong position now to do a fantastic deal for my client.
I think the business, we've talked about this before, of announcing a development it's a strategic move. If everybody announced everything that they put into development, it would lose all currency.
Yeah, and some companies do it more than others.
Definitely.
I remember in the 90s, back in the 90s, Tiger Aspect did a lot.
I remember that as well, yes.
A lot of that.
Yes, and you at Hattrick and me at Talkback, we sort of slightly thought that, that's a bit, I don't want to say desperate, but, that's like announcing that a new receptionist started on Monday. Well, it's not really worth a press release to broadcast.
Well, we always announce when the new receptionist.
Do you?
All right.
What's your receptionist turnover like then?
No, but the thing is that it strikes me that's. I mean, for us, it was always a kind of you're going to jinx it. Is that if you announce something,
I agree.
you kind of you're inviting.
You're strong-arming the broadcasters.
I mean, I remember Kenton Allen, our dear friend Kenton, announced with great brio that he was bringing back Cheers. That he'd done a development deal with the creators or the people who owned the title of Cheers. And, he was talking to, I think it was the BBC about it. And, of course, it never went anywhere because why would you remake Cheers? I mean,
it's a big announcement, though, isn't it? Because people are going to write about it, aren't they?
They did. They wrote about it ubiquitously. But the truth is that, that those things,
one of my favourite of this ever is Andy Harris, our friend, who's been on this podcast, maker of The Crown, hugely distinguished figure, etc., etc. Announcing that he was going to remake St. Trinian's with the Spice Girls.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Maybe he still is. And
he could be in it. He could be Old Spice.
Anyway, should we get an envelope?
Let's get an envelope.
Find a theme to talk about. Owen, thank you very much. We can't do any more jokes about Owen. We've said he's drunk. We've said he's asleep. Just for the record here, he's a very, very good producer. Yeah. Very professional, always turns up, he does all we require of him, which is to hand us the envelope when we ask.
And he's also armed this morning, which is why we're being so nice about him. He's packing open carry. He's had enough. I think he's going to lose his shit and just go to McDonald's and take down a few people.
Or go and produce another podcast with people who don't make fun of him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame him. Okay, so I've opened the envelope.
Okay,
the words are in front of me. This is very pertinent to you and me, Jim.
Oh.
TV and the Oxbridge Gang.
Oh, yes.
And I think this is a reference.
Yeah.
I don't know why you suddenly went very Kenneth Williams there. Frankie Howard. You almost went Frankie Howard.
A little touch of Frankie Howard, which in the old days I actually had a touch of Frankie Howard.
Again, another rabbit hole we don't want to go down. This is a reference to Phil Redmond.
Sir Phil Redmond.
Sir Phil Redmond, the man behind Grange Hill, Brookside. Have you ever met him, by the way?
I don't think I've ever... I think I've been in the same room. He's a giant of British television.
He's a giant as well. He's got very, very bushy eyebrows. That's what I main remember him. The full Denison.
He's hirsute.
The eyebrows are about 6 inches in front of the face. So he's given an interview where he bemoans the way television is made today and, frankly, the people who make it.
Right.
I think this is you and me he's having a go at. He told the Radio Times that one of the reasons he gave up producing in the early 2000s was because television was being run by people who didn't have lived experience of the working class.
Yes.
Well, and you might have something to say about that. Yeah. He went on, those people started recruiting their own image and bringing in their own mates who'd done an English or media studies degree. So you end up now with a very narrow view and very little depth. Now we're in a time loop back to the 70s and it's full of the Oxbridge Gang again.
Yes. And he was giving an interview, wasn't he? Because it is the 30th anniversary of Hollyoaks later this month, which is an amazing achievement.
And he is a giant of television.
Well, he did.
To have created one successful soap or whatever you want to call it is amazing. But Grange Hill, Brookside, and Hollyoaks,
you've got to hand it to him.
You've got to hand it.
I mean, and you're gonna. So when he opens his mouth, you kind of listen.
Yes.
And this is an opinion. Now, I kind of know I absolutely agree with the general spirit of what he's saying. But I have to say, to just focus on Oxbridge and use the expression Oxbridge, why does it bring me out in an allergic reaction? Because I went to Cambridge.
Yes.
I have to admit, I'm now confessing. I went to Cambridge.
I remember.
But the truth is that I was born in a place called Walton in Liverpool, which is now one of the most depressed areas in the country. So I come from that neighbourhood. My mum was a waitress. My dad worked in a factory. I went to a local comprehensive and there were brilliant teachers there. And basically, a teacher I met got hold of me and my mate, Dave Hughes, and he said, you two, if you work hard at these subjects, you could get a place at Oxford or Cambridge. So my parents were delighted. Yes. Absolutely delighted, because for them, they both left school when they were 14. It was a game changer. So I go to Oxbridge, the place that doesn't really exist, and my life changes completely. I meet people like you, Peter. I meet people like Griff Rhys-Jones.
Well, you're lucky. And what an inspiring story that is.
But the truth is that what pisses me off is then when people like Tim Davies said a few years ago, we're going to recruit less from Oxbridge. Yes. He himself went to Oxbridge.
Selwyn College, Cambridge.
Oh, and so the thing is I'm saying is that Oxford and Cambridge are meritocratic places. My old college, Jesus, 80% of them are from state schools.
Yes.
So it's lazy stereotyping to say they're Oxbridge types, but I do agree with him that our industry is too middle class.
But you were ahead of your time, Jimmy, because you came from the background that you've just described. But you were in quite a small minority in Cambridge in those days.
In the 70s.
I was much more typical, coming from a boarding school. In Kent, and a school, by the way, where if you said a teacher got hold of you, it meant something else altogether.
Yes.
No, I think you and I are bound to have mixed views of what Phil Redmond says. Yeah. Partly because we are Oxbridge people, although from very different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to say that in our careers in television, we've never wanted to wear that on our sleeve. We've never. It's not like being in the civil service where you sort of say, "Oh, I'm a Balliol man" or whatever.
Oh no,
television's never been like
people
that.
Like that.
Exactly,
yeah.
We take the piss out of ourselves from it. But the irony of. It seems to me the irony of him saying it's a time loop back to the 70s and it's full of the Oxbridge gang again is that the Oxbridge gang now is a very different group of people because Oxbridge itself has changed so much.
I agree with Phil. Generally, I think his general point is right, is there's an industry which is, I think working class people find it difficult. When you are at home watching the telly and you're from a working class kid, you're at home with no social capital, they call it, cultural capital, no inroads into finding out how to get into television. I think there are schools now. There's the London Screen Academy in Highbury takes kids on from 16 to 18 years of age, and they teach them all the skills from behind the camera. So there are initiatives. We're trying to get a school built like that in Liverpool for young kids in Liverpool to learn about the crafts that you need to make TV and film. So there are initiatives now where we're realizing that we're losing out on some of the talent if we don't find routes for success.
And nobody would want to go back to a world in which a kind of small Oxbridge elite dominated television. But I just want to go a bit further into what Phil Redmond said. He says that in the 60s and 70s, a programme like ITV's Mr. Bates versus the Post Office would be created every week. Well, that's an interesting point. In other words, a socially aware programming, a program that is drama that is making a point about public scandal or whatever. And he says now revenue, this is the bit that I find interesting, he says now revenue is tight, the networks can't afford to make those as often, things like Mr. Bates and the Post Office, so the only place to see working class drama on a regular basis is the soap. Well, he's a soap man, so maybe he would say that. But alongside that, there's a sort of other point about the soaps.
Yeah.
You could argue is that they are stuck in a time warp all of their own, where if you go to the East End, you really will not find a square that remotely resembles Albert Square.
No, it's like Camberwick Green.
Exactly. And so the soaps, which are self-perpetuating things,
they're fictional.
Have they really moved with the times? And is there any, there's no, people have tried to do, if you like, middle-class soaps. They never quite work. But I guess what I'm saying is, if one of the roles of drama is to reflect the world as it is, does the world of drama reflect all aspects of the world as it is today, or of Britain as it is today? And if it doesn't, is that because there's an Oxbridge elite running television? I don't think you can argue the latter, because there isn't an Oxbridge elite running television. There may once have been, but there isn't.
No, I think that's where he's got it wrong. Alighting upon the Oxbridge bit, generally his point is correct, is that we need to encourage more diverse people to come into the industry. I absolutely understand that. But, when you think about Happy Valley,
yes,
it's a working class drama.
Yeah.
It's a Sin is a working class drama. Responder is a working class drama. Adolescence is a working class drama.
Absolutely. Maybe Phil Redmond, even though we kind of agree with his sentiments, maybe he's having too black and white a view of the difference between working class drama and middle class drama. And actually, if you look across the range of drama, you do see kind of all human life.
And that's what I was going to say. He's being a bit too black and white.
Yes.
Which, as a fellow Liverpudlian, I can go there as well. Owen's hovering with an envelope. Thank you, Owen. Time running out for the 9 p.m. slot. Yes, this is from an article written by Michael Savage, The Guardian, which actually he rang me up about, and I gave him my two penneth worth. On the 17th of September, for the very first time ever, none of the 5 main channels reached 1 million viewers at 9 o'clock.
I mean, I find this an interesting story. When I read it, one side of me would just want to say, so what?
Yeah.
We all know linear broadcasting is, I don't want to say dead, but it's in decline, and it's in permanent decline. Unless you're talking about things you have to watch live, like sport or the news or, big events. So in a sense, it's not surprising. The speed and the rate of decline, I suppose, is the story here. I know that in my years at ITV, and I was there from 2008 to I think 2016, so it's still less than 10 years ago. I remember only once did we go below 2 million at 9 o'clock. 2 million this is. And I remember sort of walking around the building the following day, kind of, with my head down, thinking this was a badge of shame. And it did feel bad to go under 2 million. 10 years before that, you'd never have gone under 4 or 5 million. No. But this is just what happens when television is universally available at the time you want to watch it. If none of the channels had a live show on at 9 o'clock on the 17th of September, the real question to ask of each of the different shows is how many people have they got when you add in iPlayer viewing and so on. Now, commercially, it's a slightly more complicated story because it's different for the BBC. If we take the 3 main PSBs, the BBC, Channel 4 and ITV. We shouldn't say that because Channel 5's as big as Channel 4 these days, and there's plenty of other linear channels around. But just stick with those. The BBC, you could argue, doesn't matter to them in the least because all they need to argue is that so many people watch this programme. iPlayer is just as good. Channel 4, it matters a bit more. They make a big thing of the fact that All 4 is the biggest free streaming service in the UK, which I've never quite understood what that definition is. But ITV and any commercial broadcast, so this includes 5, it includes, it's not quite different for Sky because you've got a subscription model at Sky. But if basically your model is spot advertising, it's a big thing.
Yeah,
it's a big thing because why logically would you sit through an ad break if you can fast forward through it? And if you watch something, I'm sure we've all done this. You could start watching an ITV program about 9:10, 9:15, having recorded it, just skip through the ad breaks.
Yeah,
but that's where the value lies.
On ITVX, you can pay a bit extra
and not have to watch them at all.
And have no.
Yeah, but then you've got a subscription model starting to replace.
That's what I'm saying.
Spot advertising,
and that's smart of ITV to do
It's smart as long as you're not swapping, to use a phrase, analog pounds for digital pennies. That's the danger for the organisation.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
That yes, you get subscriptions and they amount to that, whereas the spot advertising income amounted to that.
Yeah.
That's a very difficult line to tread. And I don't see how that gets any easier. And in a world in which you can't even get 1 million at 9 o'clock, it's going to get harder, isn't it?
Yeah, and also for the bigger channels, that number, I suppose, is slightly more problematic. If you're getting 900,000 on Channel 4 these days, you're quite happy, I think.
Yes. No. What makes you happy, so as it were, has been steadily going down, being readjusted, for 20 years. 20 years.
But you're right, there are still shows like Strictly, which gets nearly 7 million people watching it overnight. They want to watch that go. It's a live show.
Yes.
They could record it, but actually you kind of want to be there. And as you know, I've been to the studio. So
you have. Yes.
And what's weird is I actually went to Liverpool this weekend, and I was checked into a hotel called the Titanic.
In Liverpool.
Hang
on, it sailed from Liverpool.
No, it did sail from Liverpool.
They built it in Belfast.
They did build it in Belfast.
I've been to that
but
Belfast exhibition.
And there were pictures of the Titanic all over. Yeah. And on the menu there was iceberg lettuce. I thought, this is rather spooky. It was weird.
There was iceberg lettuce on the menu of the diners on the Titanic.
That should have been a warning, shouldn't it? But I thought it was strange. Anyway, it was a very nice hotel, and the people were very, very nice.
Good. But the Titanic was a very nice boat, and I believe they ate very well, and the service was very good.
Although at one point the plates were sliding off the table.
Again, we're drifting. If only they drifted a little bit further south.
I actually took my mother once on
the Titanic.
On a
I didn't realise you disliked her that much.
I had a relative on the Titanic. She survived it.
Seriously?
We have a letter. My uncle Gerard, who got into the whole genealogy thing, we went back to.
Was she working on it? Was she a passenger?
She'd gone to New York. She'd emigrated to New York. She's a Liverpool girl, and had come back to see her family and was going back to New York.
Yeah.
But she survived.
She in third class.
She was one of the. She
don't know why I'm making that.
So you Oxbridge twat, you see, you assume that a member of my family is going third class.
No, I was only saying
she was
that
banging the captain, so she was sleeping with the captain.
Well, he went down.
I don't know. Well, apparently he didn't go down. He went down on his ship.
The point I was going to make is I don't know whether it's a well-known point or not, that you are much more likely to survive as a woman in third class than as a man in first class.
Why is that?
Because the sense of women and children first was so strong
that they would.
Yeah, exactly.
So the men stayed on board and drowned.
The men, the stiff upper lip thing.
There was a very famous cartoon at the time, about a year after the Titanic went down, in Punch, when Punch magazine was a very famous comic cartoon. The cartoon was two men sitting at the bar on the Titanic, which was at an angle. Yes. Right? So it's obviously the ship's going down, and one man saying to the other, "Mind you, it is nice and quiet without all the women and children." Which caused...
It's a great cartoon.
Which ruffled a few feathers at the time.
I'm sure.
Too soon, people cried. Why are we talking about the Titanic?
I don't know.
Anyway,
we were on the 9 o'clock slot, and we were on...
Strictly. No. Having gone to see Strictly live, I walk into my hotel room in the Titanic, which is thankfully built on solid ground, and I, for some reason, find myself turning on the television and watching Strictly live.
Okay.
I feel like I'm now involved with Strictly. These shows are so brilliant at hooking you in to the stories. I mean, Have I Got News For You gets about, talking shows that get a big overnight, Have I Got News For You gets about 3 million now.
Overnight?
Yes.
That's still a very good figure.
And it gets the repeat.
Yeah.
It gets... Now, we used
But what about the iPlayer? So if you can add three things together,
and the iPlayer,
the original transmission, the iPlayer, and the repeat. And so, what do you get to? What's the kind of accumulated figure?
It's doing really well on the iPlayer now because we have back catalogue on the iPlayer. So people now watch the current and they go back and watch the other shows,
which is in a sense a little bit weird because it's obviously topical. But if they want to watch them,
it sells well, and we sell those to UK TV as well. So we get 1.5 million, I think, over the month for each episode on the iPlayer. But on the Monday night, we used to do Have I Got a Bit More News For You?
Yes, I remember.
Right. Now, here's the thing. we get a call from the BBC. I thought I should be discussing this anyway. But they said we only want the half-hour version going forward.
Okay.
Not the 45-minute version on a Monday night, which gets over 1 million people at 10:30 watching it.
What's the rationale? Save money?
The iPlayer doesn't understand it if you've got two different
I can
lengths.
see that. I can see that.
Oh, fuck off.
No, but I can see why
45 minutes. So the iPlayer doesn't understand that a half-hour version, a 45-minute version. Well, I thought it was, it was anyway, it's apparently something to do with the algorithm. So we've obviously, we are just making the show for their show, and it's going out, but it's getting less. It's getting fewer people watching it on a Monday than it used to when it was the longer version. And we've had hundreds and hundreds of complaints.
Have you written them all yourself?
Only on Twitter.
Yeah.
So that's only on Twitter. We don't know about other social media outlets. Over 300 people saying, why have you stopped doing the longer version? Because we like the longer version because we're real fans of the show. So I'm only saying this because I'm going to go back to the BBC with my data and say, put the 45-minute version back on, please.
But to be fair to the BBC, I would anticipate that if the evidence suggests that there is a place in the world for the 45-minute version, they'll recommission it again.
They will because
they're very reasonable people.
They do change their minds.
Yeah.
When they cancelled BBC Three a year later, they brought it back.
Well, that's a slightly different one.
I mean,
when
they
you
do.
say they
They're
change their
flexible.
mind, they're out there
agree.
listening. They're out there listening, and all these things are slightly experimental. I just want to get because we're supposed to be talking about the 9 o'clock slot and linear.
Oh my God! Of course we are. I completely forgot about that.
We've drifted quite a long way from it, but you're talking about Strictly, and you went to Strictly recording, and obviously Strictly something you want to watch live. It would be interesting to know of the two entertainment behemoths of BBC One schedule at the moment, the Traitors, the Celebrity Traitors, and Strictly. Celebrity Traitors, you don't need to see live.
No.
It was made months ago and has been beautifully edited. So I would guess that the proportion of live viewing to iPlayer viewing on that is lower than Strictly.
Correct.
Where sort of, if you haven't seen it live, it kind of
loses.
It's
like a sporting event, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a sporting event. And I mean, we could easily research this, and I'm sure the BBC, analyse and follow this very carefully. But as I say, I don't think so. On the 17th of September, none of the main channels got 1 million viewers. To us as viewers, I think, so what, you could say. To them, it is a moment, but it's a bigger moment if you're dependent on advertising than if you're not.
And also, you've been in this job, and you go in the morning and you look at your overnights. It is slightly, and I know you can rationalise it by saying, we're going to get the catch-up figures, but it is slightly deflating when you see...
It is. No, overnights had, or, I'm not in that world anymore, but certainly when I was in that world, you couldn't deny them at about 20 to 10 or whenever in the morning, particularly if you're launching a new show, you'd open this thing up on your computer or whatever, and you'd read a number, and you might think, fantastic, we've launched a hit. I know that Channel 5 launched a week ago or so Murder Before Evensong. And, that's a new kind of cozy crime thing based on the books by Richard Coles. And I think it got 1.8 million overnight. And that gave rise to an article saying this is a smash hit. It's the biggest overnight audience they've had of the year. So there's still force in the overnights, but it's not what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago.
And neither are we, Peter. And on that sad note, I think it's time to go back to bed.